True story, the first conversation I ever had with Erik Seidel. I was like, well, I don't know much. I know there are 54 cards in a deck. And he's just like, excuse me?
Let me stop you right there.
Me and my buddy, we making all of this money. Yeah, I know it's rude to be bragging. They never catching us slacking. Me and my buddy, we working hard for this money.
So to cheers over you.
No, do it.
All right, guys, welcome back. Table One Podcast. Co-host Jesse Young, other co-host Art Perman, and then this is Marina Konnikova.
Konnikova, you're good.
Oh, almost.
You got it. It's fine.
It was an inflection off, but I was more proud.
But you know what? The effort made it basically perfect.
Oh my gosh! So when I went to the front desk to come up here, by the way, guys, we're changing our setting a little bit. We're doing it in her place in Vegas, as opposed
the Aria didn't
instead
turn
of the Aria,
a library.
But either way, I went to the desk person or whatever to get permission to come up. And he's like, oh, well, who are you coming to see? I was like, I'm going to mispronounce this name. And I swear I almost said Maria Konnikova because it's
tennis player.
The tennis player. And she was also kind of attached to the Ace King as well.
Yeah,
I don't know if you remember that because she looks good, but she doesn't play that well. That story.
Absolutely. Yep.
But anyway, I just stumbled across my words just long enough where it was like, just go. It's all right.
I just confidently said Maria because I didn't know it wasn't Maria Ho until I got here,
You know what? You're not the first one. But Maria Ho and I really look alike, so all Marias look the same. So it's all good.
Facts.
There you go, Art. I still don't know if Art's 100% sure who's interviewing right now. I'm sure you've seen every one of our episodes, and we do appreciate it. But just in case you have not,
always,
we do appreciate it. Yeah. But we like to take people kind of back in time a little bit to where they were a little Maria, and then kind of see how they kind of found their way into this kind of niche of a niche of a niche, which is kind of is because I would say a large majority of poker players are somewhat intelligible and could get a very good job, whether it's in whatever business, stock market, author, stuff like that, and they choose this stupid thing that we do, and it is kind of silly. But what was your childhood like? Where did you grow up?
Well, I was born in Moscow, and
Heard of it?
Unfortunately, but I identify my dad's Ukrainian, so I'm identifying with that part of my.
We just had Victoria Lifshitz on. She's also Ukrainian. My wife's also Ukrainian.
So born in Russia, and then grew up in the Boston suburbs and stayed in the Boston area through college, and then moved to New York. And lived in New York for a very long time, and a few years ago got a place in Vegas, and now split my time between New York and Vegas.
There's so much between then and now.
And the podcast is over.
Thank you guys so much. This was really fun. Thank you for the thought-provoking questions.
All right, really quick, guys. Phenom Poker is out now. It is live, and if you want to support Table One, just go to joinphenompoker.com, and that will help us. Fill in your information, and you'll be on with us.
Tons of people on there, tons of action, especially until Art and I will run out of money, I think.
That's true. And we are doing some sort of free roll. Anyone who signs up through our link, we're going to eventually reveal the details on Twitter, but if you sign up through our link, we are going to go all in up to 10 times at $100 no limit until somebody wins the $100. We might stack you 10 times and you'll lose 1,000 in this promotion, but we are trying to give away 100. So if we accidentally stack you 10 times, thanks. Thanks for playing. All right, joinphenompoker.com. Now.
Did you play? Did you? I'll take your line here, Justin. Did you play a lot of strategy games with your family growing up?
No, so I actually hate games.
Oh, you're a game hater. What do you hate about them?
The rare game.
The funness.
The losing.
The losing, yeah. So my childhood, we had no decks of cards in the house. So I had no idea how many cards were in a deck. True story, the first conversation I ever had with Erik Seidel, I I was like, well, I don't know much. I know there are 54 cards in a deck. And he's just like, excuse me?
Let me stop you right there.
I've told that story many times, but like every single time, people are like, that didn't happen. I'm like, oh, it happened. You can't.
How did Eric just stand up and turn around and be like,
No,
I have
like,
to leave?
He's so graceful. He's probably like, oh, she's counting the jokers.
She's like, well, you have to know. He said, like, with the jokers, it's okay. But yeah, joke's on him because I got him to coach me. I was smart, right?
Got the discount. Got the can't count the deck discount.
Exactly. But I actually I hate board games. And I always hated board games. So my sister's 6 years older than I am, and she was she loved games. And I just liked reading. Like I wanted to read books, and I wanted people to read to me, before I could read myself. Like my grandmother would babysit us, and my sister always wanted to play Monopoly or whatever. I'm like, fuck this shit. Read me a book. And they just bored me. That was not something I ever liked. And then when I was, my parents really tried hard to get me to engage in group activities that weren't reading. Mm-hmm. I did ballet, but that's not really a group activity, right? It's pretty solitary.
Not the way I do it.
They tried soccer. Soccer did not work. That did not go well. So in 5th grade, they decided that chess might be a good thing for me. Yeah. So I enrolled in a chess club at my school, and I learned how to, how the pieces move. And I was like, okay, this could be okay. And then my first tournament, I obviously didn't have a ranking because I'd never played before. And so they kind of match you up with someone who they think is going to be of a comparable skill level. So I sit down, I'm in 5th grade, just reminding you. And they put a 5-year-old kid in front of me as my first match. I was like, oh my God.
You are going to cry. You are going to cry.
I'm taking the 5-year-old.
And you would be correct. Scholar's mate, as I now know. 3 moves later, I'm out, and that's the last time I played chess. I was like,
oh no. Well, just right away quit?
Yeah, I quit immediately. I was like, this sucks. I will go back to reading. Thank you, Mom and Dad. We're done.
They never beat me after chapter 1. I can finish.
You have to stop reading. Aww.
Here come the tough words.
So that was it. And I didn't play any games after that. Went through high school, college without basically knowing what poker was. I watched Rounders, and I liked Rounders. And that was literally the only time I saw a poker game. So in my mind, poker was like Teddy KGB and, underground clubs, and it's pretty close, and Matt Damon, obviously.
A lot of sexy people. Yeah, I get it.
So that's what poker was to me. And so I got into it it's such a different background from most poker players who were games players or poker players, right? Or grandma
gamblers.
played, or gamblers.
Yeah, it's usually gamblers or
and
games players,
and I'd never been in a casino. Not a gambler at all. Never, and I've still to this day never bet on sports or played slot machines.
No blackjack or.
No, I've played blackjack once in my life.
I hate it.
You probably lost and you gave up.
Another 5-year-old scholar beat you.
So this was at PCA. It was at the end of the night. I was exhausted, and I was walking back to my room, and Katie Lindsay and Sasha Salinger were there, and they were like, you have to go play blackjack with us. And I was like, absolutely not. I don't play, I'm not going to play blackjack. I'm not doing it. And they're like, oh, come on, it'll be fun. It'll be wonderful. And then I'm like, no. And so I'm walking back to my room, and then I step on a $25 chip on the ground. And they're like, it's a sign. You have to play with this.
What year is this? I think it was mine, actually. Sorry.
They're like, you have to, now you have to play with this one chip. And I was like, okay, fine. So I sit at the table with them, ran that 25 up to $4,000.
I like the story in theory, but for some reason I'm mad at you.
Then I lost it all and went to sleep.
Okay, I'm okay with this now.
Yeah, don't worry. The $4,000 didn't stay, but I hated it. I actually I enjoyed spending time. I love Katie and Sasha. It was really wonderful. had a great time with them, but didn't understand why people would choose to play blackjack. Like, it was just boring. So to me,
It's the
like,
first part, the going to 25 to 4,000.
that was
How did you find it boring and get 25 to 4,000? Do you just keep on like doubling and doubling and doubling? Or
Yeah.
because
you're
you're
just
like,
trying to quit?
maybe if I can feel feelings if I double this. No. How about double this?
Justin,
No.
she seems like a healthy person that feels feelings. She's not one of us.
Oh, sorry. My bad. Yeah.
I saw the Wikipedia, psychology degree, Harvard. She knows her
We'll
shit,
get
man.
into all that, man. I'm more curious about how.
So poker was actually for a book, for the Biggest Bluff, which was kind of the book that was about my foray into the world of poker. But it wasn't to learn poker. It was like poker as a metaphor for life. And the reason I got into it was because this is going to sound so ridiculously nerdy, but it's true. John von Neumann, the father of game theory, was the reason I got into poker. So I wanted to, I went through a really like rough patch in my life where a lot of bad shit happened, and it felt like I was just totally out of control, right? Yes, PhD, I went to Harvard, all these good things, had New York Times bestselling books, but like got incredibly sick, couldn't leave the house, multiple deaths in my family, like freak accidents, just everything, one thing after the other. And I wanted to figure out, okay, well, I want to write about this, but how do I do that? I can't just say, I want to write about luck. Like, that's not a book. It's just like, it's too vague, it's too big. So I needed a way in. And someone suggested that, like, I might read about kind of chance in a more regimented way. And I'd studied game theory, so I was like, because my PhD was in decision making under conditions of uncertainty. So very related to poker, even though I didn't know.
Almost perfect for poker, actually. All right.
Yeah, so risky decision making.
Yeah.
Yep.
They got PhDs in risky decision making?
Well, the PhD is in psychology, but
Dr. Chance is what they call her.
yes, I go by Dr. Chance. I charge, a cool $2,000 an hour, so that it's all good. So I started reading John von Neumann's Theory of Games, which I'd never read. Like, it's the foundational text of game theory, but who in the world reads it? Who's not like a game theoretician? Anyway, figured out that he was a poker player, and that game theory came out of poker. And that John von Neumann thought that poker was the perfect analogy for strategic decision making in life. That it was better than chess, better than anything. That it was like a perfect mirror.
It's funny that you say that, because when we had Victoria on Lifshitz, she was just like, it's just the perfect, it's like the game of life, but like.
Yeah, she's a chess player, and I asked her, it's like, oh, the similarities between like poker and chess. She just like looked at me like I was an idiot. And like I grew up playing chess, she's like, no. Actually, no. I felt like she wanted to slap me. She's like, no,
there are
absolutely
some
not.
similarities, but von Neumann actually hated chess because he said it was boring because he could solve it.
Correct.
He's like, he was one of the fathers of the computer. Like, the computer would not exist without von Neumann's work. And he's like, give me processing power and chess is gone.
Dr. von Neumann, Buzz Killington, like the worst guy at a party. Like.
Yep, exactly. He's like, yeah, it's boring. Exactly. Buzz Killington is a great middle. That actually
Terrific,
is his middle name. It's from the German.
I think I saw him on Family Guy a couple times. Yeah, I got you. All right.
Of the Killing Tons of People family, yes. Buzz Killington.
All right, real quick. Do you have crypto just sitting in a crypto wallet doing nothing? Then you've probably never heard of Gauntlet. Gauntlet.xyz is a $1 billion research company that manages risk for huge internet platforms like Uniswap, Arbitrum, Jupiter, and a ton of other ones. And how can they help you? They actually curate these things called crypto vaults. And what's a crypto vault? Well, you just put your crypto in, you get an interest rate. The interest rate depends on the supply and demand of that particular token that you put into there. It's kind of complicated, but their algorithms make it like 1,000 poker solvers are working on your side. And you get a return on crypto that was just sitting in your wallet anyway. Here, let me show you how it works. I've got 800 USDC here. I'm gonna put it into this USDC vault. The current interest APY is a little over 9%. So I'm gonna get that for a little bit and I can take it out whenever I want. Now, as you can see, they have a bunch of different vaults, a bunch of different tokens. Do your own research on all of this, which one appeals to you, but definitely don't let your crypto just sit in your wallet doing nothing. It could be here earning for you. So if you've got USDC or USDT, which if you're a poker player, you probably do, you're gonna wanna have it sitting in one of these vaults earning something for you. So head on over to gauntlet.xyz/T1 and it'll take you right to the vault page. You'll be able to check out which one looks good to you. All right, back to the show.
But yeah, I was like, oh, this is really interesting. And he thought that if he could solve poker, he'd basically solve life. He thought it would help prevent nuclear war. Actually wrote that. And I was like, okay, maybe I should look a little bit into this poker thing, and started just poking around the internet as I do, Google, what is poker, that kind of thing.
Small interruption. Like how old are you at this point?
20, God, I have to do math. Hold on.
The math is hard.
Don't do it in public. That's my rule.
Yeah, we actually don't allow public math, so maybe we should just stop
guess.
there. Yeah. Just 28.
She was 21 and she's
28.
never aged since then.
Done.
She's still 21.
27, 28, something
All right.
like that.
Okay.
And I was like, what is this poker thing? And I was like, wait, this could actually, like, something clicked. I was like, this could be my book. I've never played. Why don't I find someone to teach me and start from zero and like take 1 year with the goal of playing the main event at the end of the year, and actually like have that journey be the book. And whether or not I do well or whatever is not the point, right? It's all about poker and skill versus chance, trying to figure out what do I control, what don't I control, like how do I tell the difference between the two. So that was kind of the germ of what became the Biggest Bluff. And I was like, hey, is that guy from Rounders still playing?
Are you talking about Matt Damon, or Norton, John Malkovich, or Johnny Chan?
All of the above.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I Google, red visor guy
guy.
Rounders, and that's how I found Erik Seidel.
Oh, that's right. Because like he lost that big hand. Like they
They
snippet
kept
in
playing
there.
it over and over and
Right.
over.
It's somewhere Johnny Chan beats him heads up in like
Yes.
the 1990.
No, 80.
Or it's the other way, right? Or one of them trapped the other one with the
Well, yeah,
chest.
Johnny
Johnny
Chan
Chan
trapped
had
him.
the
He
strap.
flopped
Yeah.
the nuts, and like Seidel, I think, had 2 pairs. I mean, it was a cooler. It was all it was.
But it's so funny because when you hear Erik talk about that hand, he's like, yeah, I was an idiot kid and I really misplayed it. And I was like, dude, your head's up. It actually is a cooler. Like you had top pair,
Yeah.
But he really is down on himself on that hand. But that's
The most famous hand he's ever played in his life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fucked it up.
He's like, oh damn.
Shouldn't have shoved the river against that fucking net. He's never gonna call with words.
He's fucking smelling oranges. I knew he had it.
Johnny fucking Chan we're talking about. He won't post a blind without a sponsorship deal.
I am truly curious to like how you got like connected with like Erik Seidel, because you can't just be like, what's Erik Seidel's number? All right, call him.
I did cold reach out to him.
You say you don't like gambling. My gosh, that's a huge gamble.
It's a free roll. Come on, that's not a gamble.
So I'm a journalist, right? Like that's what I've done. Like professionally, I've never. Well, it's not true. I had 5 jobs in my first year out of college, but
Those are for research, for the journalism
that's right.
position.
Absolutely.
For feature books.
Absolutely. But I've been a writer like my whole adult professional life. After graduating from Columbia, because my PhD is from Columbia. And
Pretty huge degree.
so I'm used to reaching out to people cold and like doing research that way. And, because at that time I was at the New Yorker, and, everyone answers your call when you're like, hi, I'm from the New Yorker, like doing this story. And by the way, I hate it. Like it never gets easier. I hate like cold reaching out to people, cold calling people or emailing. Like it's never at all easy.
It's an icky feeling.
Yeah. So I still to this day hate it. But I reached out to Erik and was like, hi, I'm working on a new project and I would, if you're at all interested in hearing more, like I'd really love to set up a call. And
All right,
he
wait,
wrote back.
before you
Yeah.
continue, cold calling is like something, I'm not good at cold calling. I'm like you. I think it's kind of like, oh, it's intimidating.
Yeah.
But like also cold calling is about the numbers. So who else did you reach out to that you would have taken ahead of Erik if they would have responded?
No one.
Only
He was-
one?
He was the first person.
No,
He was
come
my
on.
first choice.
And you're like a sniper.
Yeah, I am. No, I got so ridiculous. Can you imagine, like, knowing nothing about poker, that was the first person I reached out to?
So if you get
Like,
ghosted-
can you imagine, like, how
Who's
different
next?
my
Johnny
life and, like, the journey would have been? Like, imagine if it had been, like, Helmuth or, like the...
Well, I mean, forget Helmuth. Like, what if like you get all the way down to me or something like that? You know how terrible, like, that book would have been nothing.
She would have gave up by then. Come on.
She was like, I don't know who Justin Young is, but I don't know. Whatever.
Jonathan Little would have surely responded before you.
That's true, actually. But yeah, I mean, like your life track could be like infinitely different because of,
It's true,
of Seidel being like, sure, random person from the New Yorker wants to write a book.
Well, I didn't tell him. I left it very vague. But he was like, "Oh, I know who you are. I like your writing." So like it actually, it's
cool.
really like I lucked out twice. First of all, because like Erik is just amazing and the nicest person ever, and also an amazing poker player. But he is also not your typical poker player. He is a poker player who reads The New Yorker. Right, and who goes to the theater and like knows all of these things, and he's like, oh yeah, like I know exactly who you are. He's like, I happen to be in New York right now. We can just meet for breakfast if you want. And I was like, yes, please.
I don't think I could do that like right now, and I know he's in town.
Let that be a lesson to people out there. Kismet isn't like on accident. You gotta put yourself out there. It's like why Silicon Valley is Silicon Valley, because you can like it's so tiny and you can run into people and become a billionaire or whatever. But you know,
I'm moving to Silicon Valley, guys. Be right back. I want to be a billionaire.
Maybe Austin's the new Silicon Valley.
Potato.
It's
fine.
But yeah, that's how I got connected with Erik. Just reaching out cold.
So I want to hear this entire conversation you have with Erik. Like, I mean, Cliff Notes obviously, but like, please, like, this is incredibly interesting. Like,
so we met up for breakfast, and I told him kind of what I wanted to do. That I wanted to write this book, that I wanted to go on this journey, and that I wanted to start from zero. And he actually couldn't believe that I'd literally never played cards before. After the 54 cards in a deck, he could believe it. Like I sold it.
God, you should have ran with that for a while. All right, so you've got.
So
if you're counting your outs, it's 54 divided by.
That would fit. Can you imagine?
It's 14 in a.
There's 14 flushes, 14 cards to make a flush for 2 of the suits, but the other ones.
Spades are super unlucky.
Suits. This is why hearts and spades are worth more. Anyways.
Sorry, we're idiots sometimes.
No, this is great. This is great. And sometimes there are 2 queens of spades in a deck. So
a little bit too much. Yeah, I agree.
But I basically tried to pitch him like the way that I would pitch like a magazine editor or something on a story. And I was like, I know that this probably isn't worth your time, but like, I just want to kind of be a fly on the wall and learn from you. And I don't have any card knowledge, but I have a PhD in psychology. I studied risky decision making. Like, I know a lot of that world, and I could try to, like, I'm happy to help, any way I can with those sorts of things. And I had actually found a few papers that I had printed out about like psychology, poker, decision making, and I gave them to him as like not a peace offering, but like as a...
I'm not an idiot, I promise. Look at this.
Yeah, and one of them was actually quite intriguing. It's still a paper that I use in my play to this day. It was about body language and tells, and kind of the types of things that actually matter. And he was like, wow, like this is actually kind of interesting. And then he had reservations. It's not like he was like, yeah, let's do this. He's like, well, first of all, I've never coached anyone. And Erik is so humble. So he's like, oh, I'm probably not going to be good. Like, he's like, and I'm not a great player. There are much better people. I'm like, okay. Like, I looked up your Hendon Mob.
Forget his Hendon Mob. Dude, there's no one else like Erik Seidel.
No, there isn't.
There really isn't. Like, how many people his age that are competing, not just competing, but like crushing these high roller fields?
None. I mean,
exactly none.
He is
There's
still...
exactly none.
Yeah.
Also, I don't remember a lot of Full Tilt commercials from back in the day, but do you remember the one I'm about to say?
I do.
Where it's just like a bunch of things, and the only thing I remember about the commercial is Erik Seidel is dealing because they're passing the deal, and it's going shing, 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 because he has all his bracelets on each arm, and he's like, oh, sorry, and then it goes to the next person, and the whole commercial is just that, basically. That's the
That was fantastic.
Can you guys play this during the podcast?
Yeah, I can find it on YouTube.
Ask Arpit, yeah, probably.
If I can find it on YouTube, I can play it.
That would be great. But yeah, there's no one like Erik. But he had reservations about whether he'd be a good coach. And secondly, he's like, you're female. He's like, and I don't know if I'd want my daughters getting into this world. So like, and I was like, look, I'm a big girl. Like, I'm doing this for a book. Like, I can.
It's for research.
It's for research. I can take care of myself. And I was, he's like, okay, well, let's see how we like get along and how we work together and like do a test period. And we did, and we ended up getting along really well. And that was
Yada, yada, yada.
Yada, yada, yada.
I wrote a bestseller. That's not a big deal at all.
So you were his test case for his actual daughters, is what you're saying. And now they're into poker and they love it.
yes. Well,
And it's right here, guys.
Oh, look at that.
Self-promotion here. The Biggest Bluff. All right.
thank you.
There you go. Buy
I
it
was going
on-
to steal it, but now I'm just
Buy
going to
it
put
on
it back.
Amazon. I'll figure out how to do the referral link thing. No.
Oh man, but no, Eric's one of his daughters plays poker. Both of them know how to play, but one of them likes playing and has played the ladies event a few years.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Are you tired of playing with players like this? Not this.
No,
like
no.
this? Or this?
Or do you want to play with players like this?
Oh, wait. If you like having fun at the poker table, Table 1 is the game for you. We play high stakes, no limit, 100 blinds. And if you want to get into the game, it's actually super easy. We have a website, table1.vegas. You just go to the website, you click get a seat in the game, and fill out the form. It's that easy. It's your name, it's your phone number, it's the date that you're here, and I will personally reach out to you.
And it's only $5K minimum buy-in. Run it up at 2.5 and join us. So how did the relationship, I want to say end, because I know you guys are still like
we're
tight.
still friends.
As far as like the book consultation, I guess is what I'll call it. Like, I mean, how did that end? Did you kind of give him like a pre-copy and like, give me some notes or like?
Oh, so he was actually, other than my, editor, agent, et cetera, he was the first like lay person. My husband, after them, he was the first person to read.
Eric, this is the
Eric.
first time you've ever been called a lay person. And
Yes.
it was first normie to read the book.
That is hilarious. Yes, in this world, he was a lay person. And I, because basically, he really like, for a year, basically his family adopted me, right? His wife like became like a foster mother. My own parents are wonderful. It's not like I need adopting,
right.
but like,
We got you.
sorry, mom and dad.
This is always good.
Best mom ever had. Looking at you, mom.
But his wife Rua was amazing. Like I became friendly with his daughters. Like I became kind of an honorary member of the family. And so I really wanted to make sure, like, coming from a journalism background, coming from the New Yorker, like you do not let your sources read your pieces. Like that's not done. People don't get to, do that because you need to write objectively. But in this particular case, like, there would be no book without Erik, and I just wanted to make sure that he was comfortable with everything. And so I gave him the kind of edited draft to read, and he blessed it. I think he had like 2 changes. And that was kind of then it went out into the world.
That's so cool. Gosh. You have goosebumps? I mean, like, I'm just thinking about like that, or like, have you written enough stuff where it was kind of like this should be good, but maybe not?
Well, this was a really big departure for me because this was more memoiristic, right? This was a first-person book, and I've been taught to avoid me in a story, right? Like, I report, I'm not a part of it. And for the first time, I was a part of it. Like the story was my life. And so it was actually very scary for me. It was the scariest thing I'd written because it's so much more personal. It's a different voice. I didn't know if people would like it. Like you're much more vulnerable when you do something like that than when, like the book I wrote before that, The Confidence Game, was about con artists, right? It was about like me.
Also about you. No.
Yes.
Big Karn.
Well, my last name is Konnikova.
Nice. So there was some nerves. There has to be.
Absolutely.
Before any book, I'm sure like you get nerves, but like this is a deviation from anything you've ever done.
This one was a lot of nerves, and I was really nervous giving it to Erik because he had put so much trust in me. I really wanted to make sure that I like honored that and communicated the journey in a way that.
Yeah, it seems so different to me because like one is investigative journalism where
Yep.
you're like getting the story
Yep.
and you're like, okay, source, but I'm never going to reveal you. But like I'm gonna say the thing, and like they might hate me after they gave me this information, but like this is like you're asking for his blessing, and you're okay. I mean, I don't know a ton about writing, but it feels more like a first-person novel. It's kind of like versus like a piece
except
in the New Yorker.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
So there's spoiler alerts here, but like how the book go? Like seriously, like was it immediately just
you can spoiler alert. It's been a while.
All right, so it did well. I mean, it did really well, but like I mean, I'm more curious about like obviously I'm not an author. I don't know. Like, do you wait like a month and we're like, where's my book sales or whatever? Like, is someone reading this, or like, do you wait like 6 months, 3 months? Like, what's the kind of the?
No, so I mean, the most important time for a book is the week of publication, basically.
Okay.
Because anyone listening, if you want to support an author, pre-order their book, because all pre-orders count for week 1. And so your highest chance of making the New York Times bestseller list or other bestsellers lists is in the first week of publication, because all the people who pre-ordered your book and everyone who buys it in the first week, they all get counted in that first week.
Gotcha.
And then after that, it's just the number that
So
ordered it that week.
they get to see the number already being like huge, so they're
Exactly.
just like, oh, super popular. Oprah loves it, whatever.
Exactly. So pre-orders are huge.
I like it.
So I got very lucky. The book did make the New York Times bestseller list, which was really tough because it actually happened during the COVID lockdown.
Yes.
And
A lot of good books coming out around that. A lot of people
a lot of readers.
But it
Lot of
was, my book tour was canceled. Like, it was kind of sad. We did a virtual book tour. It was funny.
You like virtually sign the books, like.
No, I actually signed physical books. I signed physical books, and then I got.
Did you Clorox them before you sent them out? Because you don't want to be sending your
I
germs
don't
through the mail.
But it was funny because I did a big interview for CBS This Morning, like as the big like book launch thing, and we taped it outside. Like sitting at opposite ends of the table, in like this Brooklyn courtyard, it was very fun.
When I refinanced my house during COVID, we had to go outside and notarize in my front lawn on the fucking picnic table.
Yeah, so it's definitely like it was a weird book release, but it ended up going really well, and I feel still to this day remarkably lucky.
That's awesome.
The book found.
That's a fantastic story. It really is. I knew most of that, but that was fantastic. So after your book and like success, clearly you're still in the poker community.
Yes.
So we drug you down to our level. We made you one of us.
One of us. We got her.
For sure. I fell in love with the game. I think for the reasons that I hate other games, I love poker. Like other games I do find kind of boring on one level or another, or pointless. But in poker, I actually find myself learning more about decision making in some ways than I did when I was, in the field in psychology, because when you're immersed in it and you're learning through experience and you're doing, you actually kind of viscerally feel, what these things feel like. And
You also get immediate feedback.
absolutely, which is huge for learning, right? Like the single best way of learning is in an environment that gives you feedback immediately.
Touch a hot stove, get burned.
Exactly. And most of the time we don't get feedback, right? Like, and even if you do something that also is like risky decision making. So for my dissertation, I looked at stock market behavior, and we had people play stock market games, but there's so much noise, right? So like the feedback actually is quite noisy, really hard to separate signal from noise, and you don't get immediate feedback, like
Not
on
clear,
how
right or wrong.
Exactly.
Right.
And in poker, like what the odds are, if you made the right decision, like
Mostly,
like when
yeah.
it comes to showdown, right?
Yeah, it's a lot less
get-
noisy for sure.
Absolutely, there's still some noise,
It's finite.
but you can actually, and you get in, thousands and thousands and thousands of reps, so you actually learn to think probabilistically, which is something that's really, really hard for people to do. And so I kind of found that it became kind of a way for me to become a much better thinker and decision maker outside of the poker world. Now, by the way, I don't think that poker automatically does that. I think you need to have kind of the metacognitive awareness to translate it from the poker world to the broader world, there are some really dumb poker players. Sorry.
I do take a lot of bad beats.
Why did you look at Art when you said
And
that?
I make a lot of good decisions, and I never win. And I had aces, and he had jacks, and he hit a
Who
jack.
cares? It came Jack 10, 9, 8.
Yeah, never
I
mind.
had aces the whole time.
But if you approach it correctly, I think it can actually like be such a powerful teaching tool. I'm actually an advocate, like I've spoken about this before at conferences, of teaching poker in school, in elementary school, in high school, as a way of teaching kids probabilistic thinking, decision making, self-control,
How to tilt.
emotional control, empathy, right? It actually, to be good at poker, it's really good to be empathetic and to learn to think from other people's perspectives. And yeah, in some ways it actually makes you kind of a better person because you become more attuned to people's cues, kind of the nonverbal signs that they're giving off if you want to be
I
good.
think it's like you said, if you want to be, you got
If you want to,
got
well,
it.
that's why I said, but I think that if you actually teach it from a young age, then people will understand it that way. It won't be like, oh, let's go gamble, right? Like it becomes very distinct from other games.
And to your point, I know, I might be losing some names here, but like I know there was a handful of people that were asked to either talk in classes in college or actually teach classes in college. I think, I believe it was Michael Binger is one of them, but like I think there's a handful that actually were taught to or asked to come in to like teach. They were brought in to teach like probability, but like it was more a broader spectrum
yeah.
of it, and that's what makes poker a beautiful game. And like I don't want to simplify it to that point, but like
I actually did a guest lecture. So Steve Pinker was my undergrad advisor. He's a psychologist, best-selling author, and teaches a huge kind of a lot of really popular classes at Harvard. And he teaches a class on rationality. And so this year I went in and was kind of a guest lecturer to speak to the class using poker as a tool for.
How big was the
learning.
class?
Yeah. It was big. I don't remember.
Did you have a microphone?
Yeah, of course. But I
Was there like a big screen behind you?
yes.
Like PowerPoint and stuff?
So it's a TED Talk, is what you were saying.
This is
I've
great.
done that
No. Say more words about this, please. I want to hear about it. Like seriously, like I want to hear.
How was that experience?
Yeah, like
It's
seriously.
great. I mean, I used to teach, so so
You've got
it was
some
not.
experience.
But it's
It's so exciting.
No,
to
it's really
me, at least.
exciting.
My wife
Come
used to
on.
teach. She never had a microphone.
no, it is exciting. But I do a lot of public speaking, and I speak to a lot of groups about decision making. And I think one of the reasons why it's so funny. So my grandmother, if anyone who's read The Biggest Bluff knows that my grandmother, not a fan of me playing poker. She just turned 100 years old, so we just celebrated her 100th birthday. She's still not a fan of me playing poker.
Old dogs, new tricks.
But it's so funny. She's like, oh, you should be like a professor. You should lecture, blah, blah, blah. And then I start getting invited to like all of these like, ridiculous things like TED and Davos and like all of these places to give keynotes. And she's like, see, that's what you should be doing. I was like, they invited me because of poker.
I'm doing it.
I was like, yes, but I never got those invitations. Like when I was just a writer for the New Yorker, like no one at Davos gave a fuck who I was. But then when I actually won poker stuff as well, then all of a sudden it became interesting because now it's not just academic, right? Now it's also applied and it's fun and it's interesting and it's a kind of a more unique perspective. So it's very funny. So I was like, Grandma, poker's what's enabling this.
Plus, Grandma's never been dealt a flush on 3-bet pot. Oh my gosh, that's the best feeling. Returning a set. Oh my gosh.
So much better than flopping one.
Flopping sets. It's like a 9 out of 10. Turning a set.
11 out of 10.
Just
Can I just put
Jump
this
out of
into
your
the
chair.
universe? I have never gotten a royal flush in poker ever.
really.
Really.
Well, I mean, you did just start playing. Like,
Did you get one in blackjack? Where?
Ever. Well, the only time I've actually ever had a royal flush was when the board was a royal flush.
Oh shit.
Man.
Okay.
I went all in. They didn't fold.
In 2005, they might have.
dude,
been
there
in
are
there.
many clips like that actually, where it's just a Broadway rainbow, and like on TV, on stream shows, on like big tournaments, and someone goes all in there. It's like, come on,
They must have something I don't know
Seriously?
about. I'm out.
seriously?
I'm not risking all of this for 100% of my money back.
I don't know if I can read a board right now. I'm gonna fold just in case.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Well, look, it depends on how many shots deep you are. Maybe the cards are
fair enough. I won't name any of the names that have folded
I've
the
played with
nuts.
some of those.
There's been plenty of people that have folded, misfolded, and folded the nuts.
Yeah. Well,
on
you even
strings.
have that famous clip of Phil Ivey, right, folding a flush,
Yeah.
folding the winning hand after it was tabled. Like he.
Yeah, just mucking to showdown,
just
right?
mucked,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it happens to all of us. I've folded or I've mucked, I said 9 on like, there was 2 9s out there, and somebody said I have a set. And I just assumed that meant like full house. So I just like mucked I had like ace 9 on like 9, 9, 8, 7, 6. So I like wasn't proud of it or anything. I was just like 9 and they said set and I was just like threw my hand away and they had like 9 queen or whatever.
Is this when I was backing you?
No, it was.
Oh, thank God. Oh my God.
No, this was like.
You owe me
See,
some money.
This is why actually.
This is against Clay actually. Clay McGuire.
As a writer, can I just
And
say?
shout out to Clay. He actually gave me a free roll on the next pot. He said, if it's red, I'm going to give you your whatever, half the pot back. If it's black,
Clay's the best.
yeah,
That's good.
it came
All right.
black, and he kept the whole thing. So
Oh, it was a nice story while it lasted.
That's funny.
all right, say what you were going to say.
No, I was going to say, as a writer, people are going to say I'm pedantic, but precise language matters, guys. It is not called a set if there are 2 on the board. That is trips.
Right?
For a set, you have to have it in your hands. That is why you thought it was a full house. So it's on Clay. Clay, that is not a set.
gonna send this to
and
him.
This is the end of my writing lesson.
normally these-
language matters. Word choice matters.
Literally, like the only people that watch this podcast are Art and I. But that being said, we'll send this one to Clay as well.
There's also a lot of people out there who are not good with the language, I'm guessing. So they could use
There's
that.
a ton. There is a ton. And to Art's detriment as well, why are you just fucking folding like trips, man? Like, let's see it. Like, I've claimed to have a straight against you multiple times. You're like, no, not yet.
But Clay's never done that to me, where you say straight doo-doo afterwards.
Well, I've written about this. I have a weekly Substack where I sometimes write about poker, and I'm working on a book right now about cheating in games. So that includes poker, but not just poker. But so sometimes the stories that I write weekly are like cheating adjacent because I'm kind of working through stuff that I'm thinking about for the book. And I was angle shot by. Angle shot, right? Someone.
You can be angle shot, yes.
I was like, is that
Angle shooted.
angle shooting? Yeah, I was angle shot.
You're the writer.
by I think we just make this up.
Let's make up a name.
Who's angle shooter,
by this
right?
guy who, it was a pretty big pot, and I finally hero called the river, and he said straight. And I was like, oh, and he was sitting in the 9 seat and I was like in the 2 seat and there was a glare and like I couldn't quite see. I was like, and it kind of looked straighty and the dealer said straight. So I was like, okay. And I started mucking my hand and then I was like, wait, you don't have a straight. And he's like, oh, I was like, wait, I have a pair. Like, and I go to, and he's like, no, you already folded. And the dealer just
So
took
it
my
went from
cards.
honest mistake to like
And it was
obviously
and it
on
was an
purpose.
8. He's like, I said 8. I said 8. I didn't say straight. It wasn't enough. Like he was. I've played with him since. He's an angle shooter.
Yeah.
And whenever I see him at a table, I actually warn everyone.
Wow.
But I was.
Should you warn everyone? Who is it?
We don't love a ton of drama on this, but like angle shooters should be called out.
Yeah, for sure.
Wait,
I
is
hate.
this me, by the way? Because otherwise, it's not me, right?
It
not
is
you?
you. Yeah. No.
No, sorry.
I actually don't know his name.
Okay,
That's
fair
so
enough.
funny. It's not someone
We'll-
who's.
we'll
I
go
would.
through it.
I
He's got
would.
an angly face.
No, we have one of those like when like the detective like brings a witness in and like they go through like the pages and things. We have
It's
that for
just-
that.
It's
We'll-
so
we'll
gross.
show it.
But after I wrote about it, actually, Matt Savage was like, "That's an incorrect ruling. Your cards were retrievable. Like, we need the right hand to win." Because I took my hand and I turned it over because it was still.
Obviously your cards.
Yeah. But yeah.
Past is the past.
But it actually made me really careful, like from that point on, that like I try never to muck until like I am 100% certain. And like sometimes I'll just table my hand anyway. Especially like if I'm playing PLO, I'm just always tabling my hand because I don't know what the fuck's going on.
correct.
Great advice, guys.
That is always the thing.
Always table your hand. No one remembers how stupid you look, but they remember the time, or you just get to win money sometimes, which is nice.
Yes.
I got to win half the pot because we did we do a double board bomb pot, and like whatever. It's like me and like 2 other guys, and like whatever, and like I'm just looking at it, I was like, oh, I can't
Straight
win.
in trips or something, right? Out
Yeah,
there that
yeah.
the other people have.
And I have like trips, and like I was like kind of dead on the other board, and like the one guy like shows 2 really good hands, and I'm like, oh, all right, done. I didn't get rid of my hand. The other guy's like, I can't win either. So the guy's like scooping the British shimmy, scooping the pot.
Justin like half mucks, and I say, oh, you have a flush, but it was like 3 deuce of hearts.
The other guy was smart enough to show his hand,
Yeah.
and the other guy had like a 3 high flush. And I was like,
And you were like, wait a minute,
there's
I had a flush draw.
There's a small chance I have a flush draw. That's it. I have 8 high flush draw.
So you got half the pot over like.
I love it. Well,
It was terrible because like I'm just like kind of bemoaning for like 8 and 9 seconds, like run so
no,
bad.
you need, I mean, it's so like sometimes though we know even tabling your hand doesn't work, especially if you're in a circuit
Sure.
event and there's 3 of you
Which-
left.
That is ridiculous, by the way. I literally just became like a privy of this like a month ago. Like
That was really
That's
that was
nuts to
horrific.
me. Like-
Yeah, for
we've
those
been-
that don't know, there
He
was
should sue.
the Maurice Hawkins bit where he had a straight or a top pair or something, and the other guy,
Had a straight.
had top pair. This guy had like ace high, and he backed into a straight, right? But the other
Right,
guy
guy
made
had
a
a
flush.
flush.
And the dealer mucked his hand right away.
Immediately, and the guy even said,
he's like,
"I thought I
think
won."
I have a straight.
He said, oh, I thought I won, yeah. But
No,
like,
he said, "I thought I won," and
The dealer's like, no.
you didn't.
and it was just it was so gross. We so we have a podcast with Nate Silver called Risky Business, and Nate and I talked about this on the show, and like it was gross for so many reasons, but I was like also like Maurice, if you've played with him, he celebrates when he wins, and like he's so vocal and like he's calling, and this time like he just went dead silent. Like it was.
He just had to read a board as well.
He's accepted the angle after the fact, which is also guilty. You can't do that shit.
And if you think about the incentives, like everyone's like, well, how did everyone miss it? I was like, the other player, he's also incentivized to not say anything. Like if he wants to be, like
To me, I'm not even blaming Maurice or the other player. I'm blaming the dealer.
no, it's the dealer's fault.
the
It's
dealer's
100% the dealer's fault.
And it always is.
No, it's not. I understand what you're saying.
You never blame the dealer, but in this particular case, you absolutely blame the dealer.
You blame the dealer, but you can also blame the whole event. Like there should be someone there watching. That's
there
a floor.
should have
It's
been
a
a
final
floor.
table.
There should
3
have been a
people.
floor person there.
They're always calling out the action. I mean, I know it's just a circuit event, but
No,
like
but it's important. It was
It's
for
like
life-changing
$60,000.
money. It was life-changing money to
Yeah,
some
figures.
people.
Exactly
it was,
right.
It was the pay jumps were huge.
Right. There should be someone there monitoring.
I don't care how good a dealer are,
Second
how
set
confident
odds.
you are in your dealing thing. You take a beat. You
Yeah.
make sure. Then you're like,
Oh,
okay.
4 clubs?
Then-
That's something.
Then you push the cards, wait another second, and then you fucking grab the hand.
always-
He literally just like did it. He's like, okay, done, grab, done.
It's also like it's the reason there's a burn card, so you don't
Yeah.
go too fast.
Yeah.
Because like stuff happens and you're like halfway through the burn, you're like I haven't acted yet, and it's okay because you just have the burn down. Like it's the whole reason. I mean, there's cheating implications too with cutting the cards and mechanics and stuff.
Sure,
but the burn
sure.
card in
For
present day
sure.
poker is just a timing.
No, I
blocker.
for sure. And I'm so, because I'm so deep in the world of cheating right now, like my tolerance for anything that even potentially resembles an angle is 0. Like I hate it. It is so gross. And there are,
Is it mostly angling based cheating?
No.
Is there a lot of other stuff too? Because we got hit with a cheating scandal over the
Angling
summer.
isn't cheating, unfortunately. Like
Okay.
that, you have to draw. And so I write about this, and it's like it's bad gamesmanship, but bad sportsmanship. But good gamesmanship, bad sportsmanship. to angle shoot.
That's why it's called angling.
Exactly. But you can't do anything. So what I've written and what I argue for is then change the rules so that common angles become illegal, so that it becomes flat out cheating, right? Like
Yeah,
change the rules so that
If something's
the penalty
exploitable,
changes.
you should fix it.
So, like I know I'm dating myself a little bit, but probably around 2008 to 10 area. I
I
think
was still in school.
yes, everyone was in diapers but me. I get it. But like there was a short time where everyone got an all-in button, and it was like just a round disc or whatever.
Really?
And like,
I remember that.
Yeah, if you wanted to go all in, it was.
You just put the button.
Well, it was a visual thing. Instead of like relying on the dealer to do it, you would still say all in, push your chips forward, and then you would put the chip out just to make sure everyone knew. And like, it was a very innocently understandable reason to do it, because like, some like a 1 versus 9 seat, like it's tough to see like exactly what's going on.
But if a big yellow all in comes out, you're all
But
in.
there was a certain player that the reason that this rule was banned, he would literally like throw it every once in a while. And he would just get a read from you, and he would just do it because it wasn't binding. It was I won't name the name of the player or anything like that, but he would literally do it.
If it's someone who's still playing, you should.
No, like they're not playing anymore, which is. But like they would just do that, and they would just look and get a read, and they would make the correct decision or whatever. Because like so many people would just immediately be like, "Oh, call," and he's like, "I haven't done anything yet. What are you talking about?"
It's, you know, people do that right now with time chips and time cards. That I've actually, like, that people use as an angle, like.
And like, let me just say, like, I do think that the rule, like, I still think time chips are amazing. But like, you just spread your time chips, you take your time, and the dealer shouldn't ask you for one. You take your time until like.
They should tell you when you're on like your last one.
Correct. Like, it should just be like, okay, that's number 2, that's number 3, that's number 4, and like, even if the dealer doesn't know how many you have, whatever, they get to number 5 and you only have 2, then your hand's dead anyway. It doesn't matter. Like.
If you decide to call when you can't call anymore.
Correct. Like, I mean, granted, like, yeah, you just wasted everyone's time for like 2 minutes, but like, still, like, outside of that, like, the dealer should sit there quiet and just wait as long as you want to wait, and then at the end, it's like, okay, you owe 5 time banks. He was like, oh, I only have 2. It's like, well, your hand's dead then.
The dealer doesn't even need to do anything. They already have the app.
Exactly.
You just like click it, and then every time 30 seconds goes by, it'll just put 1, 2, 3, 4, and then at the end.
To her point, though, like, a lot of people will do that. They'll get down to like right before, and they'll just literally go like, and it's like flick, and it looks like it's either cards or it looks like it's chip. And either way, the person's like.
They try. I mean, they get a reaction. There are people who they're pretty well-known players who do this.
I agree. But the sentiment is, it's a good idea, but like, people look at good ideas like, how can I take advantage of that?
Yep,
and
it's
Especially
disgusting.
in tournaments where it's like, it feels like, it's just, I don't know. The angling is like whatever, but then it gets like even more gray. It's like, you already got the gray area, here's another gray area.
So you were mentioning that it's not the cheating or the angle shooting is not directly tied to poker. What else are you like looking into? Or?
So I'm looking at games in general. So everything from poker, chess, backgammon, just casino games, to baseball and sports. Tennis has insane cheating scandals. So yeah, it's I'm just very curious about breaking the rules, where I think right now it's a very timely topic when the rules change.
So do you kind of feel like a fish out of water when you're attacking some of these sports because you're not a sports girl or
for sure. But that's, I've always written about stuff that I know nothing about. Except my book about con artists, I was like,
I've swindled dozens of people.
I do this. I do a con for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But yeah, it is. It's really interesting. I learn a lot, right? Because even like I played tennis. I actually did play when I was younger. I liked tennis. I haven't played in years. But so there's some games where I at least know the rules, and other games like football where I'm like, what the fuck is this, right? Like I don't.
To football.
There's a
took me a long time.
Major learning curve. And then you realize that when you see a football field in real life, it doesn't actually have dynamic lines that tell you where things are, and you're like, wait, now I really don't know what's happening.
Yeah, that's fair.
No wonder they always think they have a first down. It could be close. I don't know.
Exactly. But yeah, so just all games, nothing about relationships. So please do not send me cheating stories in your relationships.
That's book number 2.
So what is on the horizon for you? And let's go into future Maria here.
Future Maria. So working on my book. I hope to be done this year, which means that it would be out next year because books take a while. I have my weekly podcast with Nate called Risky Business. I have my Substack. It's called The Leap. I'm obviously an ambassador for PokerStars.
Sure.
So I'll be going next for me poker-wise is the Philly Open in a few weeks. And then it's the first open event that PokerStars is doing in the U.S.
I was about to ask. I had no idea this was going. What are the dates?
April 21st through the 27th. I will be there.
What's the main event?
Main event is a $500K guarantee, 1K buy-in.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's going to be great.
And there's going to be a 2K high roller. There's going to be an ambassador bounty event where if you knock me out, you get money. Lots of fun stuff. And
Go to Philly.
Philly's a great place. And then after that, EPT Monte Carlo, which was my first ever international big poker stop, and for Hendon Mob aficionados, it was my first flag outside of the United States.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, that's awesome. And
So it has a special place in my heart. I'm looking forward to that. So that's what I have going on.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We definitely want to get you back on because I
Yes.
feel like we've missed some of the story. But until then, guys,
They all lived happily ever after.
you know that's not true.
Except for all the cheating.
Except for all the cheaters. Fuck you guys.
But guys, read her book. It's great, and come play poker at the Philly Open.
Me and my buddy, we making all of this money. Yeah, I know it's rude to be bragging. They never catching us slacking.